welcome to a review by Pishog. I know it's been a while and I was trying to think of what reviews could I do because I've mostly been reading either like first books in series or standalones and things like that. So I thought I would do kind of like update book reviews because there's a few books out have been released from series that I read. So a while ago I did a review on two dystopian YA series. So one was Under the Never Sky and the other one was Partials. So since that review, the second book in those series has been released. So I thought I'd do an update review and tell you about book 2 in those series. So the first one I'll talk about is the second book in the Partials series by Dan Wells, and that is called Fragments. So what the majority of authors are doing now, some like 10 books into a series, they're introducing multiple points of view. And I've said this many a time, I don't like that, but like if it's like that from the beginning, I can accept that. But I like things to have a pattern and to have their own way. And when authors bring in a new point of view and the pattern's totally thrown out the window, I'm like, why did they do that? So Dan Wells decided to bring in multiple points of view to the second book. The first book was all from the protagonist's point of view, Kyra. And in this book we have Kyra and Marcus. And the odd time we might have someone else, but the majority of the time it's Kyra and Marcus narrating the book. And I didn't like that because I didn't hate it, but there was completely two different stories going on, and I felt like there was something missing as well. Like particularly from Marcus's point of view, he was involved a lot of the invasion going on and Partials killing humans, and I felt like we were missing something. We weren't getting the full picture. And then Kyra's sections, sometimes they were rather dull. The first quarter of the book I thought was very slow and wasn't very interesting, and because let me say I absolutely loved the first book. I thought it was brilliant. I was so just excited reading it, not because it was constantly action packed, but I was really looking forward to seeing what would happen, and there was just something really interesting in there, and it's a dark and gritty and post-apocalyptic dystopian, and I really liked it. But I don't know, at the beginning of this one I just felt unnecessary. Things dragged out a bit. Yeah, I wasn't really interested in the book until Sam came back into it and we got to see Sam and Kyra interact a bit more. I was very fascinated by their relationship in the first book. As I said, it didn't have to be a romance or anything. Just a human and a partial interacting and becoming close and loyal to each other. And they weren't as fascinating to me in book 2, and the relationship didn't go very far. I'm glad we got some answers by the end of this book, because I've realised a very irritating pattern with trilogies, particularly dystopian trilogies. Like there's a big, huge, complicated dystopian world, and the first book is an intro and we love it and we get answers to who are these people, and then the second book usually is just lots and lots of questions and nothing really satisfying happening, and the author usually puts off answering things till the third book. So the second book can be very frustrating in some trilogies because you don't really get much answers. I was worried this book was going to go that way, but thankfully we did get a lot of answers by the end of the second book. I'm not sure what to think of those answers. Yeah, I guess I was hoping for some different explanation, for RM and the expiration date and what Kyra is and all that. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm satisfied with what we got, but I'm glad we got something. So as you can probably guess, I didn't like book 2 as much as I liked book 1. Book 1 was brilliant from start to finish. This one took a while to get started, and I didn't really like where the story kind of went a little bit as well. Yeah, so I wasn't very pleased with this book, but overall it was good. It's still in a really, really gritty, dark world. It feels a lot adult more than some, YA dystopians. They kind of make it love-hearted and all with this romance. This one, it's a tough world, and I'm looking forward to the third book and seeing what happens. So I will read the third book, and hopefully it will pick up its pace a bit and just be a bit better. So we'll see what happens with book 3. No word yet when it's out though. Okay, so now I'm going to do a quick spoiler review on Fragments. So if you haven't read the book, I suggest you switch off now. Okay, So yeah, it was quite slow, but at other times it was quite abrupt. So for example, Afa's death was like 2 lines. We buried Afa today. It was very abrupt and it was quite sad as well. And yeah, Sam and Kyra kissing at the end. Like, in one way, it should have developed, like, it went from 0 to 100. We needed something else. And when he, from, you know, the chapter from his point of view, when he was saying he's in love with her, I just didn't really get that. And I know he can't show his emotions and all that. But I don't know, I just felt like the author missed a step a little bit. Yeah, so they're separated now. Hopefully in the third book, you know, it'll be good. The thing I was saying, like, we have this big serious virus, and then, like, it's all just, like, there was a big mystery behind it and how are we going to cure it, and that's the part I was interested in. And then we just find a town where they have the cure. It's all done for us. No trying involved. I was just like, it's a bit of a cop-out. I wish that little town wasn't there. Like, it just made everything else seem not as important, because like, the rest of the world was so serious, this virus, and they had just had the cure. So I don't know, I just can't, I think it, you know, made little, it belittled everything else in the book a bit. Some of the answers we got, like, it was a bit confusing at one time, but basically it was the virus was released purposely so the humans and the particles could work together. I'm not sure what to think about that. But as well, I liked how, you know, Kyra was special. She was the only particle who kind of aged and all that. But then we found out in the end, you know, there was 2 others and one had a baby. So she wasn't as special anymore. Okay, so the second book we want to talk about is the second book in the Under the Never Sky series by Veronica Rossi, and that was called Through the Evernight. Unfortunately, this book was also not as good as the first one. I don't know what it was. The story just wasn't as interesting as the first one. I really believe that. And as well, like, it was alternating narrator in the first book, but they were together for that, so it was still the same story, just from a different perspective, which I don't mind. But in this book, Arya and Perry are separated for the majority of it, so it's 2 completely different stories, and I don't really like when authors do that. And those stories themselves weren't really interesting to me. Like, I found myself just not caring at times. Like, oh, yeah, I don't really care what happens to Perry or Arya. I think Arya is a lot, like, grew up a lot, I think, and she's a lot braver and stronger now. But Perry, like, in this book, I thought he was a bit whiny. Like, he tries really hard, but he's still a little bit whiny. There were some parts in it that I really liked. I think Roar was great in this book. I really liked Cinder and Perry, and Arya's reunion was lovely, and there was kind of like when they were together, that part of the book was quite good. But other parts, just overall, just didn't feel really special to me, and I don't know, I was just missing something. I know the reviews are, the majority of them are quite positive for this book. But I preferred the first book. It was a bit more special and interesting to me, and it had a better story. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick spoiler review on Through the Evernight, so if you haven't read it, I should suggest you switch off now. Okay, so I did like the parts where Arya and Perry were kind of together at the beginning, and the part when she got the tattoo that was poison, that was quite a tense and exciting part of the book, and they were really sweet together, and then the author split them up fine. Then she brought in these other respective people to try and just add an extra bit of drama to the stupid relationship, and that just was unnecessary. It was really sad when Liv died. I think the author could have gotten a good story out of her and Roar, but she decided to kill her off anyway. But yeah, that was really sad, and I feel bad for Roar. Yeah, the ending was quite exciting, but yeah, just overall it wasn't very special, as I said, and you know, it was okay. I'll read the third book. I'm not sure when it's out, but hopefully it will pick up now again in the third book. So those 2 books, yes, they weren't as good as the first books in their series, but you know, I could call them good, but they weren't as great as the other ones. So that's my review on those 2 books. Let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching.